Disclaimer: these videos are not made for a younger audience. They may contain coarse language as well as discussions of mature themes and situations, and thus may be deemed unsuitable for a younger audience. Viewer discretion is advised. It has been a minute. Okay, let's not waste time. 1994's unreleased cult classic, The Fantastic Four, is legendary in its own right, nearly as much as the world-famous comic book it's based on. The Fantastic Four comics were, of course, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the early 60s, Lee originally being tasked to create Marvel's equivalent to DC's Justice League of America, with Stan being inspired by his wife to write a book that he'd actually be interested in reading, and Jack injecting his own signature style, the style that makes it clear why they call him the King. Together with Kirby probably contributing some concepts from his earlier series, The Challenges of the Unknown, which he had made for DC sometime earlier, as well as, again, his incredible eye for design and dynamic artwork, plus Stan's penchant for melodrama, these two men forged what would be the foundation for the Marvel Universe today as the world outside your window. Cut to some 30-something years, 2, soon-to-be 3, unrelated cartoons, the invention of a robot because they couldn't use the Human Torch for one of those tunes, and hundreds of comic issues later, and it's the early 90s, a utopian time before the world was cursed with the wretched horror known as My Birth. And the film rights to Marvel's First Family have been sold off to New Constantine. And the clock is running out, so they hired the notorious Roger Corman to quickly produce a movie based on the FF on the cheap. He was asked to make the movie for $1 million and to start production before the end of December 1992. It was December 1992 at the time. So he got together Olisa Sohn to direct, Craig J. Nevius, and, appropriately, Kevin Rock to write the film, David and Eric Wurst to produce the score, and cast Jay Underwood as the Human Torch, Rebecca Stabb as the Invisible Woman, Michael Bailey Smith as Ben Grimm, with Carl Ciafelio as the Thing, Alex Hyde White as Mr. Fantastic, and Joseph Culp as Dr. Doom. And they were genuinely excited to make the movie. To have it play in theaters across the country, especially since the Marvel films up to that point weren't the best. The '89 Punisher movie, which wasn't great, but it was at least a serviceable depiction of the character. Albert Pion's Captain America, which was god-awful. Video on that coming later this year. And Howard the Duck, which is infamously crap. They were optimistic, hoping to have the first good Marvel film to be released in theaters. The film itself, as you'd expect, is an origin story, both for the Fantastic Four themselves and for arch-villain Dr. Doom. Victor Von Doom and Reed Richards start the film off as friends, intellectual peers, and collaborators, working on a project together to harness the power of Colossus. No, not that Colossus. In this movie, Colossus is the name given to a highly radioactive, comet-like mass that'll be passing the Earth that very night. It does bring in some comic history, though, when Victor argues with Reed over his constant tampering with his equations.
You cannot keep adjusting the primary angles of that prism quadrant.
Of course I can. I have to. Your calculations fail to consider... But not here. Outside. All I'm saying is if we don't take into consideration the possibility of a velocity variance, the result could be failure. Victor, we worked on this for 4 years. Okay? I don't want to blow it.
Neither do I.
So could we at least run a simulation? It'll make me feel better.
All right. We have time.
Harkening back to Victor's accident being caused by incorrect math. After the two seemingly come to terms, the film introduces us to the rest of our leads at the Storm boarding house, with the young Susan and Johnny Storm taking inspiration from the kinda creepy backstory introduced by writer-artist John Byrne, as well as Reed's best friend, Ben Grimm. All make their plans to see Colossus as it passes by the Earth that night, with Sue disappointed that she won't be seeing it with Reed.
In a hurry?
Actually, yes, I'm running late. I just came back home to pick up some notes.
Aren't you coming with us, Reed?
No, Susan, listen, I'm sorry. I can't. I gotta get back to the lab.
You're not gonna miss it, are you?
You know what? I might even see it if I get lucky. Listen, I want you two kids to have a great time, will you? Take good care of your mom. I gotta go.
He's dreamy. You're gross.
Later that night, Reed and Victor run their experiment, but without the time for the simulation they agreed upon, things go haywire, with Reed and Ben, who had rushed in after noticing the trouble, being injured in the destruction, and Victor Von Doom seeming to have met his.
The burns were too severe. I'm very sorry.
Where are you taking him?
Downstairs. To the morgue.
Just come here. Come on. Sorry, Reed.
A decade later, Reed Richards is set to try again, this time taking the experiment to orbit, with Ben Grimm as his pilot. But they're not going it alone.
Hi, Mrs. Storm. Johnny and Susan go to outer space with us?
Reed only then asks Ben why the hell they're recruiting the Storms for this mission, with Ben claiming that they know more about the project than anyone else, and that they'd never quit bugging them about it if they didn't let them go. But now the crew's all together, they post for a photo that nobody takes, and soon Johnny's mom says this.
Look at you. The Fantastic Four.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
They meet up at the Baxter Building, unknowingly tailed by Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from earlier in the movie, as well as this wretched goblin man, who is not the Mole Man.
Cowabunga, dudes.
There, Reed explains the plan to the group, and since nobody who could do anything about it cares about this movie at all, just roll the fucking clip.
Boss. Is it real? Voila. Johnny, would you get me the tripod? Yeah, sure. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, huh, Suze?
So what's it for, Reed?
It's the answer to our problems. By placing the diamond in the center of the cosmic refractor, the heat is diffused, broken into small doses, which gives the prisms time to cool before receiving another blast. Pretty neat, huh?
Ben also has a meet cute with Alicia Masters, a blind sculptor who lives at the Baxter.
Okay, it's okay. I got you. You're safe with me. I really am sorry.
I know. I can sense it. Don't worry about it. Accidents happen. It was only a statue, right?
Oh, statue. Hey! Don't you want your... I'm in love.
Uh-huh, great first impression.
She likes me, I can tell.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, just keep telling yourself that, Ben. You know why, Ben?
Why?
Because it eases the embarrassment.
I know. Yeah, hurry up and wait 10 years. Yeah, but she likes me, I can tell. Reed, I can tell.
This will be important later, but back to what's important right now. Reed arms the security system in order to protect the Big Rock. The movie cuts away to check in on Alicia, who is being spied on by the Goblin Man, who is called the Jeweler. Once again, not the Mole Man, the Jeweler does a little jig to steal the Big Rock, and isn't caught because Tag and Bink patched into the security systems, on account of them also being here to steal the Big Rock. And only don't because their mysterious boss, who could be anybody, thinks it's funny that someone else did their job for them.
Well, let us see what this bizarre little thief has in mind.
The perfect offering.
been replaced with a man-made replica. Perfect! It seems our little friend has helped me more than I could have dreamed. I don't need to stop this mission now. Now no one will capture Colossus before me, and they can die in space.
Now it's time for them to fly off into space, in what appears to be one of those foam plane toys. Everything's great until it all abruptly goes to shit. Since the jeweler, not Mole-Man, swapped the diamond with a glass replica, everything's overheating without the diamond to absorb the excess. And, as such, the ship explodes, which Dr. Doom finds hilarious. Alas, amidst this smoldering heap of spaceship parts, our heroes have died. Not miraculously, everyone's okay, not even a scratch on any of them. In fact, they're more than fine, as, in the chaos of the ship's destruction, Colossus's radiation mutated them, giving Johnny Storm the ability to shoot fire out of any part of his body, as well as set himself completely on fire, turning into an unfinished CG effect. His sister Sue can turn completely invisible and create force fields, Reed Richards' body is completely elastic, and Ben is completely fine, barely even inconvenienced. Nah, I guess the worst deal of them all, not only is he a rock monster, he can't even turn it off, and worst of all, he's somehow shorter than when he was Ben Grimm. Joking aside, the Think suit looks fucking amazing in this movie. Like, I genuinely think it's a better design than the Michael Chiklis suit from the Tim Story movies. It's a little dark, more brown than orange, but it's whatever. Back to the movie. They're trapped with no idea where they are, with the world thinking that they've died. Alicia's even been commissioned to build a statue in their honor. Speaking of Alicia, Jewelry Man has become rather taken with her, and as such, sends his men to take her away from her home. After that brief detour into the B-plot, the four have gone to sleep, but are awoken when they're greeted by the military, who've seemingly come to rescue them. This also introduces us to Ben Grimm's powers, having transformed into sleep, unlike the source material, which has him transform on panel. Upon returning to base, the four meet with a doctor, who will examine them to discover how their powers work.
I've been making fires out of nothing, if that's what you mean.
Yes. Big fires?
No. Little things like,
Do you think you could explain this to me? Maybe demonstrate how it works?
I don't know, I just concentrate on a part of my body, like, like my hand, and I just flame on. Flame off! Wow. Well, I guess we figured out the magic words, huh, Doc?
That's not how that works. They didn't see a problem with this initially, until they realized that they're being treated like prisoners, and after Ben's initial hesitation, they had to plan to break out. Ben spins the frame while punch sound effects play, and Reed, Sue, and Johnny sneak out to check things out. Reed gets their test results, and Johnny finds a way out, and all is fine until the guard Sue thought she knocked out sounds the alarm. They crash landed in Latveria, and are the captives of Dr. Doom, who plans on draining their power from them and putting it into himself. Kinda like the Super Skrull. Or like Johnny at the end of Silver Surfer. He claims that they're just as good when dead as they are alive, so he sends in his goons to kill them all. Ben says his catchphrase,
It's clobbering time.
and we get an okay action scene as Doom left his guys to do their thing.
Close the tank!
Wait, aren't you even gonna watch them? They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just going to assume it all went to plan. What?
Also, Doom sent Wario and Waluigi, I don't know things to call these mooks, to buy or steal the diamond from the jeweler, but on account of everyone there owning a gun, they're a bit overwhelmed when he turns them down. Actually, the jeweler could have just told Alicia that the fake giant diamond is a real giant diamond. If it passed the smell check for Reed Richards, one of the smartest people who ever lived, I don't see why it wouldn't fool Alicia.
Wouldn't it be messed up to take advantage of her disability like that? He's trying to get her to fall in love with him.
I mean, sure, it would be wrong to take advantage of the fact that she's blind, but he had her kidnapped. I doubt he'd lose any sleep over lying to her. I didn't really have a natural way to segue into that, so back to the main story. They return to what might actually be Four Freedoms Plaza and not the Baxter, where Reed gives the least scientifically sound explanation possible for their powers, and that's saying something.
God, why am I always so shy around you?
What did you say?
Well, I just wanted
Susan,
to
what
tell
did you just say about being shy?
This is a problem that I have sometimes when...
That's it. Susan, that's it. You've got a problem with being shy, right? So, you vanish, get it? Johnny, you've always had a quick temper. Now, come on, ever since I've known you, right? You could call it fiery, so what happens?
I catch fire.
Exactly. And me, I've always had this problem. I just stretch myself thin all the time, trying to take care of everybody, trying to do everything at once. Too many things. Ben, you've always relied too much on brute strength when your intelligence would have sufficed. Don't you see? Listen, we know one thing from the blood test. And that's that our DNA has been altered. But I think Colossus has touched our psyche. I think it's made us feel that our worst character defects are in fact our greatest strengths.
Holy Freud, Batman, I think you're right.
Ben calls bullshit over the fact that he's stuck as a certified freak for 7 days a week and storms out, eventually running into a group of Jewloids who bring him to their lair.
But we have a new member of the family. So, he's the most fascinating one I've ever seen. You will have to meet him.
Keep an eye on the Queen. She is not to leave this room until I say so.
Where is he? Let me introduce you to Ben.
Oh, my... The pain you have endured, my beautiful brother. No more. I will take it all away. You have found a home here. A world where you can rise to the greatness you deserve. You, give him anything he asks for. Treat him well. Rest, my weary traveler.
The life you always should have had begins right now.
But Ben ain't gonna live the good life with the freaks and outcasts for long, as Doom has come for the Big Rock. Jeweler's men try to shoot him down, but to no avail. The jeweler tries to get him to piss right off by threatening Alicia, but...
So?
I mean it.
Please, don't let me stop you.
It doesn't exactly go to plan. Ben tries to save her, but Doom takes her hostage from the jeweler, taunting Ben as he does so. As he's getting ready to kill her, Ben transforms back. Going back to Reed's explanation, I suppose this is Ben thinking with his head instead of his fists. Ben runs off, Doom and his men abscond with the diamond, and for good measure, Alicia Masters.
Hello.
Doom makes his threats to the team on the screen in Reed's lab, and I gotta talk about the costumes for a sec. Again, Thingsuit looks fantastic, as does Doom. Both are unequivocally the best looks for both characters in any cinematic outing, and with a bigger budget, a brighter orange for Ben, and a darker green for Doom, they'd be pretty much perfect. But then we get to the Fantastic Four uniforms, which I want to take a second to mention that the movie's costumes were designed by a guy named Reed Richards, which is a fun coincidence. The suits are a pretty faithful rendition of the Negative Zone suits from the Byrne run, which the team was still sporting when the movie got made. And therein lies the main problem. They're mostly too faithful. Just a blue and white spandex bodysuit, which unfortunately doesn't translate great to the screen. Now, I'm a big proponent for comic accurate costumes, but with only a couple exceptions, most comic costumes can't be translated 100% literally, and these are a great example of that. They need a little more design work and a much smaller 4 logo, and they'd be a lot better. Getting back on track, Doom tells the Fantastic Three-Quarters that he has the diamond, a captive, the intent to destroy New York, and that they have 12 hours to surrender before he does any of that. Ben returns, having transformed back into Thing form. Maybe he's got those rings. And they all square up to go thrash Doom, heading out in the never-before-referenced Fantastic car to Castle Doom. Naturally, they've walked into a trap.
Ray shields. Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
To which Doom monologues, explaining his plan, as well as his whole deal.
That is, of course, after I've taken from you what I want.
Colossus, right? Victor?
Victor? Ah. A name from the past. You may call me Dr. Doom. Fateful night, 10 years ago, made me what I am today. I had such a unbearable hatred for you, Reed, for turning me into this. Look at it! See it! Does it amuse you? When I heard you were to face Colossus again, I knew it would be the fitting instrument of my revenge. But just think, and what is in each of you is all in me.
He then brings Alicia out so that once they're all good and powerless, Ben can watch Doom's thugs kill her. But as the transfer begins, to differing levels of pain, Reed takes advantage of the fact that the ray shields apparently don't touch the floor and just kicks the machine, sucking them dry.
Phrasing?
Making it blast wildly all over the place until it inevitably hits the shield generator, freeing them, thus leading to another hasty action scene.
It's clobbering time for real.
While everyone beats the shit out of some guys, Doom activates his death ray because nobody thought to stop him from doing the exact thing he said he was going to do. Reed fails to prevent him from firing, so Johnny does the next best thing, going full torch to fly off and prevent the blast from reaching the city, while Reed goes out to confront Doom, and Ben rescues Alicia.
I don't think we've formally met. I'm Ben Grimm.
I'm Alicia Masters.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
Reed and Doom have what can barely be considered a fist fight, which is really just Doom trying to slash him with his gauntlet claws, and Reed giving him a few stretchy punches before he tumbles over the side. Reed tries to prevent him from going over the edge, to which Doom calls him a wuss, before his gauntlet gives out and detaches, leading to Victor falling into the abyss. Sue goes to collect Reed, with the two leaving before we can see the glove moving on its own, implying that this wasn't the real Victor, just a Doombot. Meanwhile, Johnny races the beam before it can reach the city, somehow getting there first, meaning this version of Johnny is fast as fuck, boy. He takes a few blows from the blast, kind of reminiscent of the first Fleischer Superman short, before overpowering the beam with a concentrated blast of his fire, causing it to explode harmlessly in the sky. movie ends, cutting a little bit into the future for the wedding of Reed and Sue. It might seem weird that everyone but Sue is in costume, but that is how it went down in the comics. The happy newlyweds ride off in a limo, with Reed giving a hilariously long-armed wave goodbye, and Sue either not joining or being invisible while she waves. It's up to you. So, after the movie wrapped up, what happened? Why wasn't it released if it was, technically, finished? As far as everyone who actually made it knew, this was going the whole 9 yards. Either a proper theatrical run, or at least it'd be shown on TV as a movie-length pilot to a Fantastic Four show, akin to the later Doctor Who TV movie. They put their all into it. Editing the film between other projects, the actors promoting it on their own, going to cons and such, talking about it, doing meet and greets. They even showed the Thing mask off. The film's budget didn't even extend to the music, so the Worst Brothers paid for a 40-piece orchestra out of their own damn pockets. And all of this for this cheap little picture that only had the rights to 6 characters from the comics. Wanna know why they didn't call him Mole Man? Because they legally fucking couldn't.
No one's gay for Mole Man.
But it was all for naught. Unbeknownst to everyone working on it, this movie was put into production to fulfill a contractual agreement. The license owners had to make a Fantastic Four movie within a certain number of years, or else the rights would return to Marvel. A thing that would happen constantly in regards to the Fantastic Four. Or, it would be more accurate to say that they needed a Fantastic Four movie to be in production within a certain amount of time. Technically, it never actually needed to come out. And so, it never did. The film was shelved, Avi Arad paid Roger Corman a bunch of money for the masters, and destroyed them. And everyone had to move on.
But wait, the movie's online. If the masters were destroyed, how is it readily available?
Well, the director got a couple of copies made for himself, and well...
And then I said, wait a minute. Why? We're gonna let them take this movie away from us and not get anything out of it? We gotta show people that we made a movie. That's how you get another job. You gotta show them, look, where's your movie? Oh, you just made a movie? Where is it? Well, I don't really have a movie. Well, then you didn't really make a movie. Well, yes, I did, but I don't have it. Well, then you didn't make a movie. So beat it. So he said, we got to get that movie. So I remember Glenn Garland and I were sneaking around in Roger's storage room in Venice looking for the cans of that film. After everybody gone, we were in there. It's like almost like, like with a flashlight, like criminals. We were going in there and we were going to risk criminal prosecution for taking that print and going over to a post house and having it telecine so we could have a decent copy of the film. I got the copy of the film and I took it to Lightning Dubs, and one of those places that just, does a lot of dubbing work for the TV networks and such. And I said, look, I just want a couple copies of this movie. And I think that's where it got leaked out. I think somebody, one of these guys that worked there at night doing dubs, in the middle of the night, saw the Fantastic Four and went, holy shit, I'm getting me a copy of this. So they made, 2 for me and 1 for them. So I think those are, whoever that is, wherever he is, God bless him, because they got the film out there.
He's probably right. It more than likely just got leaked out by the people who made Sassoon's copies. It was put on tape, then on DVD, and eventually it got put online. By all means, a movie that should exist solely as an entry in a video about lost media is readily available for all to see. And here we are, over 30 years later, and it's still being talked about. They even made a documentary about it, which is where that clip just now came from. It's called Doomed, the untold story of Roger Corman's The Fantastic Four. They may be the world's greatest heroes, but it's not the world's greatest movie. Still, it's incredibly charming, full of heart, and I think this is still the best Fantastic Four movie to date, and I hope the MCU one can be at least this good. Like I said, not the best movie, but they didn't have that long to write the script, work on the effects, etc. They were working on only having written 4 drafts, leading to the jeweler plot feeling like it exists solely so that Doom doesn't have the diamond way earlier, and to give Alicia something to do. But they could have cut the character anyway and still found a way around it to get somewhat to the point of the film's finale. Doom could still threaten them with destroying New York with his super laser. He didn't need Alicia as a hostage for that. They would have come anyway. And as for Alicia, just continue with her sculpting the memorial statue, mourning Ben in particular. Then have her hear that they've returned with safe and sound, insist on meeting Ben, and give him something good outside of the tragedy of his condition. I mean, yeah, sure, that ties pretty much all of her screen time to a man, but she could at least still be written with some agency, as opposed to just being a damsel in distress, being the captive of 2 separate supervillains in a row, and it would actually give them some time together. I think that with just another draft of the script or 2, this would actually be a pretty good movie. Plus, the people who made it, even after all these years, are still passionate about it.
I've said to this day, and I go on record as saying, if we ever can, people will see fit to release this film, I'll go back in and redo any of the Doom speeches to get it all nice and perfect, but I'm not holding my breath.
It's a shame because I think what they should do is take the film and release the film in its original state. And I would hope that because of the CGI that's out there today, take the film and everywhere there's a CGI effect in the original film, see what the film really could have been if we had a little bit more money to make the CGI equivalent to what the CGI is today. And then release it as a double, DVD. And they would make a fortune. The fact that the film never got the treatment that it should have gotten, even in post, was like another stab in the heart, because you said, damn, we made a good-looking movie. And nobody, and what do we get for it now? We've got, bootleg copies, which is VHS to VHS 10 times. And that's what people see. And they go, yeah, that movie, well, it's okay, but it looks like shit. Well, no wonder it looks like shit. I know that when they did the telecine for the trailer, which was a negative transfer to tape, and man, it looked awesome.
Shit, if I had the money, I'd love to pay someone to redo the effect shots, redub Dr. Doom, whatever the movie needs to give it a little extra polish. If you want to watch this movie for yourself, you can find it uploaded anywhere on this website. Fuck, it's probably in the recommended videos for you at this very moment. But I put a link to watch it in the description anyway, and if you want to, check out the documentary on YouTube or Tubi. It was a great help getting into the background on this, as well as hearing the individual perspectives of those involved. This one took a good bit longer than I expected it to, truth be told. I'm trying to get more into the flow of things, get a solid schedule going for these. I'm also going to try for the next video to be something a little shorter, so that, optimistically, it doesn't take nearly as long as this. This is actually my longest script to date. But if you liked this one, or at least didn't think this was the worst thing, maybe consider liking the video. Drop a comment if you're so inclined, and if you would, subscribe to the channel for future videos. Hope to see you next time. Bye.